So recently I was asked if you could take just one lens with you on a travel photography trip, which one would you take? And I immediately thought it's my Sony 85mm because it's compact, lightweight, and it has a fast aperture of f1.8, which is great for night photography and those beautiful blurry backgrounds. But then I thought, what if I need to take wide-angle shots? I'm pretty much screwed. But not really, because there is a way to turn a portrait lens into a wide-angle lens. And here's the best part, you get to keep all of that shallow depth of field and blurry backgrounds that you get with the portrait lens. It's called the Brenizer method. Let's break it down. Now, you don't actually need a tripod to achieve this effect. You can go handheld, but it will help you to begin with and during the editing process. So make sure your tripod's nice and level, and then go into the portrait aspect ratio. Now, this is important. You want to set your camera up in full manual mode, so your aperture, shutter, and ISO are all the same throughout. I'm going with f1.8, which is the lowest this lens will go. ISO 100, and the shutter is 1/3200 because it's a nice, bright, sunny day. Also, set your white balance to manual so the temperature doesn't change between frames. Now, when it comes to focusing, you can either use autofocus to focus on your subject, or you can jump straight into manual focus and then choose a point to focus on. For my setup, I'm going to use autofocus and face detect, and then use a Bluetooth shutter remote to take a self-portrait. Now, this forms your main image. Pretty decent shot with nice blurry background, but not nearly enough of that background because we're shooting on the 85. Now change the autofocus to manual focus, which is going to keep the depth of field exactly the same as the first main image. Then you're going to take a series of images which are going to overlap each other by about 50%. Then it's just a case of simply taking the other images. The subject matter, i.e. me, doesn't need to be in any of the other images, just the first one. Now, I just took 21 images there, all overlapping each other by about 50%. You don't have to do that many, it depends how wide you want the image to be. You could probably just get away with 15 or maybe as low as 10 images. Now, I'm going to take the same image at 28mm. So that's it. Your portrait lens has now just captured a wide-angle photograph with beautiful blurry background. You just don't know it yet. So let's hotfoot it back home and load up Lightroom. Right, this is where the fun part begins in Lightroom. Out of the 21 images I took, I've chosen just 14 for this demo because the processing time won't be as long and you won't get so bored. The first image in the library was the one including yours truly. Now, if we click Ctrl A to select all of the images, right click and choose Photo Merge, then Panorama. And what this is going to do is work out which images to place together, overlap them, and then stitch them together in pretty spectacular fashion. And we can see the preview of how this will look, but we have a few options first. Auto settings does a pretty decent job of recovering highlights and shadows, so let's go with that. And we can also choose a projection, whatever looks the most natural to you. With this image, I think cylindrical works well. Then click Merge, and this will create a brand new DNG version of the stitched together image, but it can take a minute or two depending on how large your camera sensor is. While we're waiting for that to process, you probably know from my channel that I love combining my passion for photography with travel. I've been to and photographed some pretty spectacular places so far, and I'm looking to explore and expand even more. And I was thinking, maybe you guys want to come with me. So I'm planning a trip and I wanted to open it up to you guys. Do you fancy hanging out with like-minded photographers, working together to get those epic landscape shots, exploring new terrain, and having the adventure of a lifetime? Then let's get involved. I'll pop a link in the show notes below to a survey which will take no more than 2 minutes. I'm thinking Iceland or the rugged west coast of Canada, but I'm up to suggestions. So hopefully we can head off and shoot some time together. Right, enough of that, back to the edit. Once Lightroom has performed its magic, we can find it in the thumbnails below. And of course, there will always be some tidying up to do around the edges with the crop tool. And after a few more tweaks in Lightroom, I was able to produce this final image. And using the full 21 images stitched together, we have an absolutely huge composite with fantastic depth of field and separation. And if we compare it to the standard wide-angle image that I took in the field, there is simply no comparison. And that's how we turn a portrait lens into a wide-angle lens and keep shallow depth of field using the Brenizer method. Give it a try, it's actually really satisfying.